Hello everyone. Today we will discuss complex data type in object based databases. First we will see what is complex data type, and then we will see how to create these complex data types in object relational or object based databases. Earlier we have used the single attributes in relational schema, which were atomic values which were not further divisible and holds the first normal form. The simple attributes can be represented using the simple built-in function of SQL like integer string. For example, name attribute. Name attribute can be represented using string data type. If we represent it using string data type, the further detailed information of name like first name, middle name and last name get hidden. Okay, let us see the another example, address. So entire address could be the atomic data item of type string, but it hides the details like street number, city, state, pin code information. Okay, so altogether, altogether this represents the unique identification for a particular address. But if we separate a street number, a city, and state, it makes the multi-value attribute. Okay, so and the part of this address has no uh, reference, no unique reference. Okay, so this was the main motto behind defining the complex data type. So complex data types are used to represent the composite attributes, multi-valued attributes, derived attributes, generalization and specialization directly in a object oriented or object based databases. Okay, so let us have a look on this relation. So here books information is stored in this table. So you can see these two records, uh, two books information is stored here with the title, compilers and network. Now each book may have more than one author. So this is the multi-valued attribute. Author is a multi-valued attribute. The publisher further can be divided as a name and branch. So publisher may have a name, for example, Micro Hill, and its branch is at a New York. So this is the composite attribute. Keyword set, again there may be more than one keywords for a particular book. So this keyword is a multi-valued attribute. Okay. Now there should be a one-to-one correspondence between the user intuition of the object and the database system's intuition of the data item. By considering this, in object-based databases, these multi-valued attributes can be represented using an array. So we can create an array for representing this author attribute. For publisher, we can create a user-defined complex data type. For this keyword, you can create a multi-set attribute. Okay, and then it can then the one-to-one correspondence can be possible. Okay, but in a relational systems, it believes on the of relations in a first normal form with the atomic values. Okay, so this but only defining it in a first normal form is not satisfactory. Even if the relation is a first normal form, it should satisfy the other normal forms. So for satisfying the other normal form, the relation which is in a first NF has to be decomposed so that the redundancy can be reduced. So if we decompose this relation, then we can create the number of relations. So one relation which represents the author information, the other relation which represents the publisher information, and the third relation which represents the keyword set information. For example, you can see that decomposed relation like this. So here three relations are created. We are considering here that title is a primary key, so that's why it is appearing in all the table. So we have created separate table for authors, for keywords and books for. Okay. Now it is in a forced NF 4NF version. Okay, that's all the tables are having the atomic value and they are satisfying the referential integrity constraints. Okay, and it is in a 4NF form. But when user writes a query, when users write a query, this query requires to writes a query on this 4NF relations. The query requires to join all these table, and if that relation is in a first non-NF form, most much many types of the query can be easily run on that form as well. Okay, so uh, so that's why we are going to consider creating a first NF relation using the complex data type instead of decomposing that relation in this multiple relation. So let us see how to create this complex data type. So one way is to create this complex data type is structure type. Using structure type, you can create user defined type in a SQL, which can be treated as a complex type. For example, this is the syntax for creating the name attribute as a complex attribute. It is complex because it further includes the component as first name and last name. So the syntax is create type name, and then you have to specify the component attributes first name and last name. Final is a keyword which specify that you cannot further create a subtype of this name, means you cannot inherit any type from this name type. Okay, let us see the another example, address. So again, address is a complex data type, so it's created using the structure type. So the syntax is create types address, and its component are street, city, zip code, and here the keywords written is not final, means it can be further subtype. Okay. Now we have created the complex types for the address and the names. For creating the composite attribute in a table, we can create the attribute of this complex type data type using this complex data type. For example, create table person, name is of type name. So this name is a composite attribute whose data type is a complex type name. Address is a composite attribute whose data type is a complex data type address. And date of birth is a simple attribute whose data type is a built-in data type date. Okay. Now, if uh, the another way is that you can first create a type for each of the row of the table, and then you can create a table whose rows are of a particular type. For example, here I have created person type. It is a complex type which represent rows of a particular table. So the component of this person types are name, again its data type is complex type, address, its data type is complex type address, date of birth. Okay, it forms the rows of a particular table. So you can create a table whose rows are of type person type like this. Create table person of person type. Now, how to access the component attributes of a composite attribute? So using dot notation, you can access the component attributes. For example, select name dot last name. As we have seen that name is a composite attributes whose components are first name and last name. If you want to access only last name, so you can use this notation name dot last name comma address dot ct from person. You can also insert methods in a structure type. So methods can be inserted in a structure type definition. So first we have to declare the methods in a definition of the structure type, and then separately you can define the body for that methods. So let us see the method declaration. So we will see the same previous example where we have created a type as a person type which represents the row of table, particular table. So once you declare your person type, after that you have to declare the method. So this method declaration becomes the part of this person type. So you can declare the method using this syntax: method, name of the method, age on date. On date is a parameter which is of built-in type date. and it returns interval year. So this is just the declaration of this method. You have to define this method. So the syntax for the method definition is create instance method age on date, parameter on date, returns interval year for person type. So this for suggests for which type this method belongs to. Okay, so this method belongs to the person type. Okay, so that's why the person type is written here. Okay, now within a begin and end you can write the procedural statement. For example, here it is written on date minus self dot date of birth. Okay, so this self represent the current instance of this person type. Okay, so the current record of the table which is of type person type. Okay, that is referenced here. Date of birth field's value is chosen from that record. It is subtracted from whatever the value which is passed to this method, and that subtracted value is get written as an interval year. Okay, now how to invoke this method? Now the meaning of this instance keyword is that this method age on date can be invoked on instance of the person type. So for example, the instance of the person type we have created as a table person. So we can invoke this method on a person table in this way. Select name dot last name comma age on date in bracket current date. So current date is passed as a parameter to this age on date. Based on this current date, this method will calculate the age of that person, and then it is written over here, okay, from person table. So this method get invoked for every record available in this person. So that becomes the instance here, and this self means each of the record or each of the row is considered here by the self keyword. So that's it about the complex data type structure type. In the next video we will see the type inheritance and another complex data type as multi-valued attribute collection. Okay, thank you.